What up? We tuned in to TikTok, you know what it is. And we tuned in to Facebook, you know what it is. Yeah, Mercutio Moriarty Podcast. We here Wednesday in a new building. And I'm so alien to this environment. It's very homey. It's homey type stuff. But you know, I miss my wall. I miss my wall. You know, I do. Flip this around to the homie over here. I miss my wall. Somebody made a joke. Somebody made a big joke because I said I miss my wall. What was the joke about, Mr. Funny Man?
Hi, Stefan, back at it again.
Back at it again.
So I told him, he's like, I miss my wall, and I said, okay, Trump.
Okay, Trump. Right. I did not see that coming. I did not see that coming. So, tell them what the show is about today, bro. We ain't even gonna bull crap.
Okay, so we're back in our series with Black History Month and the influences it has around the United States. In honor.
Hold on. I just realized something else. What happened to the special effects? Where are my special effects in this mug?
We got them next week.
So we're gonna be dry today. I'm sorry, people.
No, we not. I got talent. We got talent. We're gonna improv. Go ahead.
So, as I was saying before the special effects tantrum, we're going back to discussing with our
You damn right.
with our Black History Month and the influences it has in the United States and in the world. Because of Mardi Gras being this week and everything, we're we're going to be discussing the New Orleans side of things and see how
New Orleans. Yeah, Black history in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I'm just co-signing you.
Yeah, co-sign it because I need a co-signer. I'm sorry.
You got good credit, my bad.
Well,
what did you research? Then we're gonna get into mine because I got some heavy stuff. So, but what's going on in the world today, though, Stefan? Besides just, we know it's Black History Month. What's going on in the world today, though? In general, though.
I mean, we're alive.
We know that. Duh. You gotta state what's obvious. Then, where's my damn special effects? No.
Well, I try not to follow a lot of the main news medias, and I know that's kind of counterproductive to today, but it's a personal.
I'm glad you said that because when I asked you earlier, I was like, "What? It's news that goes on, though. I mean, there's some news that no matter what, you can't dispute it."
I understand that, but at the same time, like, with a lot of anchors and news presenters, they are more of the opinion of, this is my opinion on the matter, not just laying the matter out black and white. And I don't think that's proper.
And that's why you rock with this podcast, because you like how real it is, how live and direct. Yeah, so, but with that being said, starting next season, we're going to start trying to do more on the scene type stuff, not really sitting in the desk, not really in the office, but actually going to the spot, mobile podcast type stuff. Like, I want to be out and about. I want to go do some things.
He just wants to see more brick walls.
Not going out. That's complete opposite. If I'm going outside, I'm not trying to stay in.
So you can't see exposed brick on outside of buildings?
You can, but no, it don't work that way. Special effect. What you got in front of you, though? You look like you just came upon something and I seen you smile.
Oh, I'm just researching other things, but I was
What are you researching? Well, tell us, brother.
So I'm on the website called goodnewsnetwork.org. It's good news. It's not. It is what it is.
It's the news you like to read.
Yeah,
Okay.
stuff that's uplifting,
so that's
stuff
the
that
good news.
makes you feel better about yourself and makes you feel better about.
Well, we all want some of that. Share it.
Well, okay. I love the ocean and everything, and I know that has nothing to do with the current topic. But apparently, the sanctuary containing the healthiest coral reefs in the world just tripled in size.
Aren't they? Well, we did mention environmental biology in a way. Aren't they? Don't they regenerate? They don't. They can live a long time, right?
Yeah, but I think they're very susceptible to climate change. And because of the rising sea waters and like the melting ice caps, I think the fluctuation of degrees will actually kill off corals.
And they're very significant to life in general.
They're one of the bigger cornerstones of almost 90%, I believe. Don't quote me on this, but I think they're like 90% responsible with keeping like the circle of life intact.
I have a TikTok with Rachel Carson, Silent Spring. She talks a lot about stuff that you're concerned that you just spoke on. I think we already mentioned her name before. But see how that works? You know what I'm saying? We still found a common ground, even with some randoms. You know, it was still there. Put our minds together and we learned something. Because that's what we do here at Mercutio Moriarty Podcast. All right, bro, keep going. About is there anything else we know about the coral reefs are dying off, maybe due to climate change? Also, Texas, there are a lot of states. The state of Texas has like freezing temperatures, unfamiliar. They're like
and snow, and they're like losing their mind over having snow there.
Well, it's the first time for a lot of these people that have seen this type of stuff, man. Well, yeah, they've never really seen it. That's kind of a big deal, right?
Just like that snowstorm that happened in Egypt a few years back, like Egyptians actually like were having the time of their life, having snowball fights and everything because it was the first time they saw snow almost in generations of life. Yeah. And I saw this one picture where these two grown adults with like the bare snow that they had were trying to make a snowball fight happen, and the amount of joy I saw on their face was out of this freaking world. And that just makes me feel good. Just seeing like joy people perpetuated, happy. Yeah.
People happy. I said Papa happy, whatever. But people happy makes you. It's contagious. Attitudes are contagious. You know what I'm saying?
It also doesn't hurt that I'm an empath, so I feel what other people feel. So when I see happy, I am happy. When I see sad, I'm sad, and I want to get rid of the sad. You know, so, and I want to perpetuate the happy. Like, that's one of my main desires in life.
That's good, B. You're gonna definitely like next month when we doing the mastering the universe on Mercutio Moriarty.
Bum bum bum. I can do some special effects too.
Thank you. Keep that in mind. Keep doing it. I like it. I like the random. You know me. I like the sporadic. I like the random. So we're in this new building. Hold on, man. This is what's up. Gotta bring this right back. We're in this new building. You know, excuse me. The word is excuse me. Thank you. So, you could have just said that. So this is how it is. We're in this new building and I really don't like it. But some people like it. They say it has whatever type of feeling. I don't like it. I like the brick wall. You know, it was more hardcore. It was just tough.
Rustic, you know.
But it's all good. I ain't got a problem with change. So we at this new location. It feels like home. I'm getting used to it. Is this your first time? If this is your first time tuning in to Mercutio Moriarty. Third location. Earth City, the one on Broadway, and now this one. This is the newest location. So correct us all. I'm used to having some special effects. I'm used to the wall. It's just different. This is smaller. The other it doesn't have the historic feeling. The other building was more historical. There was a biker bar. You know, you got to hear the choppers. You know, there was the LGBT bar that even brought like a little bit of spirit to the place just because there was the brick wall outside. The My City, My Music wall with a picture. Check my TikTok, the picture. Let me show you what I'm about, whatever song that is. The Lil Tay song. Well, I'm showing my face to the brick wall. You know what I'm saying, man? It's meaning to this stuff. You know, I was a little passionate about that. Art for the sake of art. But anyway, today, man, for Black History Month, we're going to really talk about New Orleans. You know, we're going to get heavy into talking about New Orleans. And right across from me is my mentee, Stefan C.
Yeah.
Stefan C. I'm going to let him speak what he knows about New Orleans, his wisdom on New Orleans and Black history, because I'm almost 40. He's a younger generation, and it's just good to bridge the gap. We come together, and we just exchange knowledge and all kinds of stuff for real, man. Because I'm a social worker, and this is like my community-based practice. And I also rap. You know, like I said, the album Uncle Son Ali Madrigal Projects is on this TikTok system. Go check it out. But I'm gonna flip it right back over to him, and let him do his thing. Also, you can go to mycitymymusic.com. We're on all like my iHeartRadio. If you can't stay in for the lives, I'm not expecting people to be able to because of how early it is. But you can always watch the video and hear just the audio if you go to like iHeart or Spreaker or mycitymymusic.com, because we're on all the platforms out there. It's no biggie. It's just you get to see you get to feel a little bit more energy when you go live. But here go the homie. Plus, I like showing TikTok. I just like messing around, dealing with TikTok. So, speak your piece about New Orleans.
I'm a cook, so I like learning like histories of food and everything, and the influences of the Creole culinary scene is really like a fun food innovation.
Take your time.
I guess.
Take your time with it. Go ahead.
So, just how they literally had scraps to eat during, the slave times, whenever it was happening in the 1700s, and how their need to eat, obviously, from almost nothing to nowadays in the 21st century becoming one of the biggest cornerstones of American cuisine, is something that I find happening.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, just the fact that the scraps that they were given by their owners and masters and everything was something that they did whatever they could to make it so that a family can eat, so that...
But about how it became a cornerstone.
But now, because of how popular it is and how it became such a tradition among the African Americans in New Orleans that it became a cornerstone of American cuisine, people go globally to New Orleans.
It's the same basically with a lot of cuisine, right? What we consider cuisine is basically some cultures like what they eat when they didn't have anything else.
Yeah, I mean, the whole bug movement is getting more and more powerful because of it. Insect-based proteins.
School them.
So a lot of indigenous tribes and a lot of Asian cuisine has insect-based proteins because that's all that they can have. But because of it becoming such a niche, trendy thing nowadays, you can get like fried tarantulas, you can get mealworms, you can get all these...
More in America, because I'm familiar with that. Remind me of the Indiana Jones movie where they were eating monkey brains and all that. But like you can't get that. I mean, bugs got a lot. Like you said, they got. If I had to eat a bug, I'd eat a bug.
I mean, why not? I mean, statistically, you eat 6 bugs every year with how much chocolate you consume.
Really?
That's how much. Yeah, like there's 6 insects.
Willy Wonka and Charlie.
Those factories are huge.
There's no way.
There's so many those factories that make the chocolate.
Why wasn't that? That wasn't in Willy Wonka.
You think that's a rice puff?
That wasn't in Willy Wonka.
You think that's a rice puff, but that's actually a worm in your Crunch Bar or something.
That's not Willy Wonka. That ain't Charlie in the Chocolate Factory.
Hey,
that's a roach.
I'm just saying, those manufacturing plants are too big for them to constantly keep quality controlling batches. So if it's 1 per million, that's feasible safety to process for production.
Gumbo. I'm cutting you off, but gumbo. I'm thinking bugs and gumbo. Couldn't bugs be in gumbo? I mean bugs being the is gumbo. How about this? Gumbo is Cajun.
Yeah.
All right. Some of the ingredients, because it comes from the earth, there's initially going to be a bug in it anyway, right?
I mean, crawfish are cockroaches of the seabeds and everything, and that's a big popular thing to eat in the South is crawfish. Lobsters are bottom feeders. Shrimp are the cockroaches of the sea. Like, it's just a mentality thing. Like, you look at cockroaches and you're like, ew, I can't see that. But you see a shrimp and you're like, oh, let me get some cocktail sauce or tartar sauce with that. It's just a psychological thing that's happened through media and through years of conditioning where it just happened like that.
I'm a cook too, so you know, there's a lot of knowledge you get from working with chefs, working in kitchens, basic knowledge that people just take for granted. But New Orleans Cajun food, that's
One of my
just proves
favorite foods
how rich that culture
global,
is.
like it's like top 5 for me is Cajun food.
Because a lot of my research, which let me see here, where did I get it from? United Teachers was one of them. Was United Teachers, New Orleans UnitedTeachers.com, www.neworleans.com. I also watch documentaries like Growing Up Black in New Orleans, VH1. What else? There was a lot of stuff that I looked at, man, and I also looked up stuff about just New Orleans in general, and it made me think that there's always been people fighting on that land. One general, Army general, this doesn't have anything to do with black history, but it has something to do with the state of Louisiana. And I'm going to say this, because it's part of the research that I do, I find it valid for me to bring up some of these things. And I make posts about them on TikTok because we got to get some beneficial information out there while y'all getting entertained. Benjamin F. Butler. He was a general for the Union, and he was stationed in Louisiana. Have you ever heard of, I think it's Woman's Rule number 28?
No.
If a female in the state of Louisiana was disrespectful to an officer that was in the military, she would be labeled as a prostitute, a lady of the town.
That's dumb.
This was a general, and this became a rule of law.
So just because you disrespect a soldier, you're labeled.
So you know, in that time, what usually would happen, right? If you get that label, they already didn't have no right. Anyway, we're just gonna assume that you're wise enough to understand the damage that can cause, and has an effect. I believe, this is my opinion. This is probably the news that you wouldn't like. That's why some of those areas are still like hostros, or why it's crime. Like, it's still prostitution going on. But, you know, you set the tone for it. A person who has some power that abused it, which is so disgusting to me.
I mean, to be honest, prostitution is one of the oldest professions.
It is the oldest profession. But, shoot, he made it like he put the ultimate pimp hand down.
I mean, with the last name like Butler, like.
Benjamin Butler. That was his name, man. Benjamin F. Butler. He was a general. Very dirty general. So. And also, we can't forget Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
You know, one of the most damaging. They blame it on the infrastructure of Louisiana.
I mean, it's below sea level, so.
I also watched the natural history of Louisiana, and it's like one of the youngest pieces of land on Earth. Something like that. It's like young. It's actually like a young piece of land. The Delta water, the topsoil from all the Mississippi just goes there, and it's just.
And it keeps on building.
Yeah. I don't know if people should even be living there, man. Dang. I'm serious. After watching all that, I'm like, man, is this a piece of land people should live on?
There's a show called Night Watch, and they did a few seasons in New Orleans, and it's about overnight paramedical people, police, and firefighters doing the third shift. And the people of New Orleans that they portray are very
beautiful, I bet, but what?
They're very much you have to be built right to live there. It's not for the weak of heart. It's not for people that don't have a thick
You gotta
skin.
be about it.
You can't just be it's not like being a coward or anything, but it's a tough city, and it breeds tough people. So the fact that even
ain't no limit,
and the fact that even after Katrina, they're still back at their homesteads,
yeah,
because they have that sense of loyalty and sense of this is where my family is, and I find that incredibly beautiful, honestly.
To give even more credit, there was a boss I had at this job, the temporary service I worked for, on Virginia and Itasca, and I worked with a lot of Bosnians, but the main boss was like about 5'7", 5'8", martial arts expert, and he was from New Orleans, and he would tell me stories about how they were really poor, but they would literally go out and hunt like alligators, kill the alligators and leave the alligators, put them like the alligator heads. They used to put them by like the ant farms and let the ants eat the skin off and sell the bones or whatnot. Or they used to use all of it to sell basically. They used to actually go out and hunt and go get these things, go hunt animals and stuff and jackets or whatnot, ornaments that you want in your house. That's what they were going out and getting. We were like 12 or 13 years old hustling like that. And it ain't uncommon, you know what I'm saying? So, and my mom likes to travel down there. So, pertaining to the black history piece, most of New Orleans is black, right? Most of Louisiana is actually black, I would like to say. Let me see here. I had all kinds of stuff I was looking at. So, and according to NewOrleans.com, in 1979, in 18, no.
Can't read your writing?
No. That in 1779, that's when African ancestry first arrived. Within 2 years, the French and Spanish brought hundreds of slaves from the Benin and Congo regions. It's got to be 1779. It can't be earlier than that. Hold on. This says by the year 1803 in New Orleans, but it was a year before that. And so it definitely wasn't 1979. So it was either, I believe it was 1779. So yeah, that's definitely my fault, but it wasn't 16. Anyway, the French and Spanish brought hundreds of slaves from the Benin and Congo regions. Some black New Orleanians were born in African and spoke their native languages. I put called, labeled, what you were saying, black Creole, the Creoles. How much do you know about the Creole heritage?
The fact that it's a big mix of French traditions mixed with African traditions, but more at its core African, but it has French, it has Spanish, it has English influences. Mm-hmm. Especially with the types of spices that they used for cooking and everything. So Creole is pretty much just a merging of a lot of different cultures that have had to live side by side for generations. Where it was a lot of
that place called the Treme. Is there?
I think there is
Treme wards, and the wards, and one of them is Treme, and Creoles probably be in the Treme. I don't know the Treme area. I know we got a bar in St. Louis called the French Quarter, and I know that New Orleans definitely got a French Quarter, but that ain't got too much to do with black history. But the point of the matter is that it seems
it still influenced
right. It's like
the culture itself, though.
The indigenous people. When I was researching this for real, the indigenous people, and that were already there, the Indians, the Indians that were celebrating Mardi Gras, they celebrate with the blacks the Zulu parade. There were slaves who were escaping slavery, and we're going with the Indians, the indigenous people, and we're fighting the French. And the British were fighting the French. So at times people were just going to war especially when the Haitians came. So African culture persisted in New Orleans, influencing everything from food to music. Louis Armstrong,
it's the birthplace of jazz.
There is a composer. What is his name? I had it. Louis. His name is Louis. Where is his name? Louis Garou Marac. I'm saying it wrong, but Louis Moreau Goschak. Louis Moreau Goschak. I'm saying Oottschalk. Louis Moria, Moreau. How they're gonna pronounce it is gonna be way different.
Moreau or something.
Moreau, yeah. Louis Moreau, office shop. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm butchering this man's name like a typical American, But he was considered one of the best composers. Now, those sources said he was African American. He looks like you. I'm saying by his complexion, he would look more like you. So going back to the Creole and being French and all the blends, you know what I'm saying? And also on the research, they were saying that there was slavery, there was forms of slavery, the forms of slavery. There was one particular rule that they had, I think that the French had, that if a master had a baby by one of the slaves, he had to like free her and raise the family. There was some, but remember one of the last episodes we were talking about historical research, and we were saying that maybe we should take some of those stories within a grain of salt.
Yeah.
You know?
Because especially with majority and minority type segregation of that historical notes are always, if not,
we can kind of think it's BS because nobody wants to be owned by nobody. You know,
history is written by the victors. It's not written by the losers.
Right. But the African culture continued, and it was influenced in New Orleans through food and music, like we say, Cajun music, music, and religion.
Yeah.
And religion, which the homegirl wanted me to talk about the Voodoo Queen. Can't pull it up on. There's a Voodoo Queen. Yeah, can you? The Voodoo Queen
died.
in New Orleans, it died. Hold on, I guess I gotta do what I gotta do.
Sorry, I'm a bad assistant.
Voodoo Queen in New Orleans. She was which was crazy. Maria Levy, the Voodoo Queen in New Orleans, a black priestess of outstanding beauty. Madame Levy wielded tremendous power in her community, and rumors of her magical abilities were so persistent that visitors still visit her and to leave tokens in exchange for small requests. I roll my eyes. Sorry for people that practice magic. But we're talking about black history in New Orleans, and we know that the African influence in New Orleans was big with food, music, and religion. Regardless of whatever you want to think about it, people do practice it, and she was one of the biggest figures in it. And one of the my mentees, Sister Asia, wanted me to mention her, and she said that people still go to the grave and they put an X on the grave, and I think they leave something else, and they ask for a wish and they get it. So that's the queen, the Voodoo Queen. Speaking, I like that show, The Originals. I like that show. They told a lesson. They put medicine in the candy. I don't think people were really paying attention to how if you read a lot, they were basing some of that stuff. It was it was fantasy, it's fanatical, but they were really basing a lot of that stuff off of like historical text, they were, and being in respecting indigenous people at that. Have you ever watched it?
Yeah, I have. I enjoyed a lot about the originals because, yeah, it's based in modern times and everything, but at the same time, they do a lot of circumstantial flashbacks where it shows you how it looked, according to them, how it would look.
The wolves, it was still going back to indigenous people. You know what I'm saying? Even with their mother being a Viking, that's still indigenous to Europe. You know what I'm saying? So it was still, and then when they came home, they were still showing the influence through the theater. Yeah, I watched it, like the theater and stuff. So, and piano and mentioning Hamlet and stuff. So they were putting some medicine and
being
some candy.
alive during Hamlet times as well.
Ooh, surviving. Yeah, they gave you some beneficial knowledge in that. But moving along.
But can you imagine living for 1,000 years? Essentially.
Yeah, I can imagine it. So the source I got, United Teachings of New Orleans, UnitedTeachersOfNewOrleans.com. According to them, New Orleans is a city rooted in blackness. Over 90% about this city that put it on the map was the work of a black person, somebody who was black. From incursion has a French, from the people that came there to live there, the colonizers would not have survived if it wasn't for the black people that were there, because they survived due to the African labor and technology. They make it seem like they were just working. They were saying no, that the slaves who were there, that's the thing, that the people who were there already had gins. They already had, cotton gins, cotton gills, or cotton gins. They already had tools. They knew the land. They already knew how to survive.
That, and I believe the African Americans created and nurtured a lot of the early Native American relationships where they were giving and taking.
It's debated that they were already there, which I believe. I believe it now. I don't care. To be honest with you, there's so much we don't know, but we think we know, and I think that we know through literature. They'll try to hide stuff. They won't put it in there.
History
like you
books
said.
Keep updating, too.
Yeah.
Like, I read this one thing where in one of the new history books, they labeled the Trail of Tears as a voluntary activity.
What?
I read that. I'm not even joking.
Tell them who's responsible for that, though. We ain't all that political, but we still gonna tell y'all we know what we talking about. Tell them who's responsible for the Trail of Tears, though, and what bill is he on? Just say what bill he's on.
Isn't it Andrew Jackson? Yeah.
Yeah, he's a gangster, bro, and he was considered the gentleman at that time.
But at the same time, when I read that it was an alleged voluntary thing, I was like,
it's
called a Trail of Tears for a reason. It's not a Trail of Sparkles or something. It wasn't voluntary.
They were warring over that land, man. They were straight warring. New Orleans, that's the thing. If 90, they were warring. Let's leave it like that. They were basically warring over that piece of land, And I think it's still, but it's a beautiful place, though. It's a beautiful place now. It's always been a beautiful place. And kind of got me stirred a little bit thinking about that. So, New Orleans was a major hub of the slave trade. About to get more mad. It was a major hub of the slave trade. Congo Square, there's a place called Congo Square, is where the blacks used to hang out.
It was like a port city, wasn't it? It was where, globally speaking, Africa's here, United States is there. So instead of going all the way on the outside of Florida, they would go on the inside through the Gulf because it would take less time and everything. And because it was the heart of the South, it had a lot of that influence in it. It just, it sucked because
people working.
Yeah.
You got people doing it. It made, I watched a 6-hour documentary about Louisiana, and it was real interesting. And it was my ignorance. I'm gonna let my ignorance speak. There were the voices of certain of the people on there didn't match their skin tone for me. At my age, at 39, I was still thinking that's something about New Orleans, Louisiana. The tone of sounding white and sounding black, I gotta stop being ignorant about, because when I was watching it, my face was like not really looking at the screen, and I would hear people speak and think that they were black. But when I would look at their face, they'd be like blue eyes, blonde hair, and one of them I thought it was a black man. And he said, well, they say that, when you come to Louisiana, especially New Orleans, you see the old plantations. You see plantations, and people just get so mesmerized by looking at the plantations. And he was like, I don't know why.
Not knowing the dark histories of it.
And he was like, I look at it and I get quite disgusted. He was like, because it wasn't, and this was before any elections now. This was like 80s. I got a little criticized for, some of my sources in the 80s. But I like watching them because they ain't polluted for real. They don't have all the, either way it goes, it's another topic. But anyway, I'm watching this, and the man is saying things that I would think a black man would say. But when I look at the voice, when I finally see the face, it's a white person saying it. He just sounds like somebody I think would sound like, looks like me. But so right there, certain prejudice got dismissed, and I started to honor even more ancestry. It's knowing what people went through, and wanting to fight more for a social justice. Now, this present time, what it has to do with this present time is we still eat Cajun food to this day. We still get influenced by the music. In 2021, I can't say that we're still influenced by the music, but I think the religion, we're still influenced heavy by the Voodoo. which this says from Haiti, known as it came from from Haiti. Voodoo came to New Orleans. It became it was Voodoo and it was Voodoo in Haiti, and then when it came to America, it became Voodoo. Did I say that? It was Voodoo. The Haitians used to when they practiced it, it was called Voodoo, and this was about 1805 to about 1810, and it survived partly by, and this was also kind of in the originals. It survived partly by appropriating Catholic saints to stand in for the law. L-A-U, lay, for the lay, la, lay. I guess because her name was Maria. Yeah. I guess because her name was, stop it. I guess because her name was Maria. Oh
my God.
Was Maria show vulnerability. I ain't afraid. Maria Levy. I think that's what they're short for, like lay. It was something.
Or maybe just what her followers called themselves.
Yeah, that's what I think. Or we can just say the law. The law. Yeah, we could just say, for them it was probably the law. So, Haiti heart led to a famous event known in 1811, known as the 1811 slave revolt. It was followed by many other enslaved people escaping, becoming maroon colonies, assisted by indigenous peoples to help survive in the swamps. You know, we got a little ahead, but that's okay. I didn't have the patience. It was just I was feeling excited. You know what I'm saying? Making connections with all that knowledge. And then, you ever heard of the maroon colonies?
I've not.
Yeah, they sound like some badasses though, don't they? Could you imagine fighting in the swamps? Like, forget TV. Like, really fighting musty, dirty, hungry.
Imagine instead of having, like, war horses, they had war alligators or something like that. Just riding on alligators and everything.
Man, my homie said that during...
Because they're fast on land.
Yes, they are.
Like, they look slow, but nah. Like, they
can get you on land. He said that... My homie said that during the flood, a light pole, this guy had to hold on to this light pole for, like, all day because this gator was underneath waiting for him.
Yeah.
He said
they're very opportunist individuals.
He said the gator just stood right there and just looked at him like, okay, tick tock, like Peter Pan. Like he was waiting on him. Straight like that. All right. So, the documentary Growing Up Black in VH1, I suggest you watch that. It's really good stuff. Really good stuff. It's got a lot of. I don't know when it was released though. It could be about 3 or 4 years old. But
so still semi-relevant.
Yeah, it's gonna always. It has to be. It's got a guy named cannot think his name. They have about 8 or 9 different people. I'm gonna say 5 or 6 different people in there that like. They don't narrate the story. But they interview like 6 or 7 different people and then break it down into segments, and I'll give them their little say-so about New Orleans. They got many different generations. So it's New Orleans from a perspective of growing up black. And some of them wasn't even grown up. But they had a guy in there that had been around. I know he was born in the 30s.
So he's been through almost all of it.
He met Muhammad Ali. He said Muhammad Ali came looking for him, or came looking for somebody significant. And he ended up meeting him, so he had to show him around the city. And it was dope, man. It was dope. Then they had stuff about the wards, the 7th wards. There's a lot of YouTube information in general about like just projects in Louisiana, which brings me to a big motivation. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got the special effects, and I can't pull up what I wanted to pull up because I ain't got my tech. We knew in the set. Dang, that kind of rhymed, but I wasn't trying to. This is a new set,
really?
Man.
You weren't trying to rhyme?
I wasn't. I really wasn't. It's called The Gift. You know of what? Say it if you know it.
The Gift of Gab.
That's right. It's a gift, homie. I wasn't trying. So at the present moment, we're going to I was trying to think of something to say then. I was gonna say wrap
Yeah,
it up.
he was-
but
he was-
yeah, I was.
He
I
was trying to go 2 for 2 here. He was trying to go 2
no,
for 2.
no, that was gonna be one. That was gonna actually. I was gonna try, but Master P, man. I've been, Asia had some information. She wanted to talk about the Voodoo Queen and Master P, but since she's not here, I'm gonna talk my piece about Percy Miller and how influential he was with the last 15 or so minutes of the show. All right. Now, growing up, for me, I was really attracted to hip-hop. I used to listen to hip-hop a lot, right? I used to really like rap. And when I was listening to it, that's when we had this thing that was round with holes in it called a CD, a compact disc. You know what I mean? And it had these songs on it. And you put the compact disc in a CD player, and it will play these songs. You know what I'm saying? So people will have cases of these albums. Now, the thing is, these albums would cost somewhere from what? You could get the single. You
For
could
like $5 or $6.
$5 or $6.
And then you get the whole CD for like 20 to 30 or something like that.
Now, what does that have to do with Master P? You don't know?
He's not one of my
But do you
artists.
understand the music business? Don't matter that. Do you understand sales? Record sales.
I mean, if you put your single on one disc, it promotes people to buy 2 items of your music.
How much is the disc you selling? Okay, let me get to my point.
Oh, you want the whole math of it?
No, we don't want the whole. I'm finna tell you what he
Okay.
taught me, okay? Because he taught me how to go get it, straight out the swamp. He taught me how to be about it. All right. Artists at that time, especially rap artists, were getting like, let's say you do sell your CD for $20, but you only make like 45 cents off that $20. So if you're selling 20 albums for $20, they're only getting 20 cents a piece off of that. Literally, there were artists who were only getting out of 100%, probably 7%, 20%. They wouldn't get the right percent, right? Master P, yet he was from the Calio Projects, the 3rd Ward. He came about the projects, got his college degree, and he taught me, why would you settle for 30% when you can get 80? What he taught me is, you pay a company for distribution, you go and you get your own studio, you go and you get your own equipment, you record your own music, and you put it out there on that market, and you do your thing, and you produce your own. And then Nipsey, he took the torch and he kept going with it. That's the game. Now, with this internet, you ain't got it like that. So you got to adjust to the system.
One of my favorite Nip lyrics was, like, why do I want to listen to your CD for? And I'm like, at first I was thinking, like, artists should support other artists. But because he was one of the true independent artists of this millennium, he wanted to...
You talking about Nipsey?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me put the camera on. You talking about Nip. Hold on.
I had
Going to talk about Rip Neighborhood Nip.
I had a friend of mine who was very... he loved, like, Nipsey Hussle and, like, everything about him. Like, he went to the Marathon Continues, like, storefront in California and everything. He has a TMC, like, tattooed on him. Like, he's a huge fan of Nip. So he was playing it at work one day, and and the lyric says, why do I want to hear your CD for? And I was like, at first I was kind of feeling jaded because artists should support other artists. But he explained to me, and I get it now because I have that song on my playlist now. It's more or less like a tough love session where he went independent. He wants other artists to emulate that decision because...
Kind of like Moses. Kind of like we was chosen.
Like, labels are great, don't get me wrong. Like, they exist for a reason. But with being independent, you pay yourself for your success.
It's about the percentage you get on that contract. I think a lot of artists want attention. They don't want They don't want to make money. They want attention. But it's a different generation. The hunger is not there because it doesn't really need to be. You can just go and get noticed easily. Back in that time, in like the 80s and 90s.
You had to hustle in the corners and everything. Like, here's my mixtape.
If you were down south, hold on. If you were down south, maybe. But if you were in a state like New York, record labels were basically down the street. You'd have to go to a club and you would have to compete another crew or whatnot, another artist, Whereas when you down south, you just fighting to get noticed. That's why, like during the Source Awards, Andre was like, the South got something to say. You know what I'm saying? It was a point in time, which you probably a little too young. Hold on. You probably are. Let me go ahead and put this out there. Y'all do need the old heads because we can teach y'all the philosophy of the history. Or well, we watched it go down. So see, it was a point in time where down south rappers wasn't getting no real airplay, and New York was just running everything. That's why Snoop came and crushed the buildings. Now this is the truth. Rappers like Goody Mob, Outkast, LaFace Records, T.I., they had to fight really hard to get radio play for them down south artists. And Master P was definitely one of them. UGK, artists like that paved the way a lot, you know what I'm saying, for them to be able to get there. And they was really hustling out of tapes. Now, if you stayed in the city, it was hustling outside of the trunk. When they were selling cars out the trunk, you had to like hustle. Now with the IG and the social media, you guys can take pictures and just upload your sound. And it's like that. When back in that time, you had to fight just to get heard. Like literally you had to be better than the other artists or you had to be doing something. So that's why, you know. But anyway.
Have your own little niche and things where it's just uniquely yours. And I kind of...
But that makes sense, though, about Master P, though, because you can see the hustle and the grind.
Yeah, and that's actually what I respect the most about the old school game is old school lyrics were about how they get money, how they get notoriety.
They're still the same. The lyrics are still the same.
But new age artists are more or less, here's the money that I have, here's how I'm spending it. They don't really show, they just show like they glamorize the outcome. They don't embrace, most of them don't embrace like the true hustle that is required to get to that level of notoriety because they have social media.
Should they have to?
I feel like you have to owe something to your roots and to your growth.
You feel like they should pay homage? You think they should pay homage? I'm just asking a question. We build.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. Like a lot of old school rappers, they always, name drop, Run DMC, NWA, like all these other groups that.
Do you think MGK was out of line? Do you consider Eminem one of those guys? And do you think MGK was out of line for getting at him?
I think it was very petty for both of them. I know that Eminem has a big history of
bullying.
Get his daughter's name out of your mouth, and I respect that. Coming from a fatherly standpoint, but at the same time, there has to be you can't be mad about a tweet that was 6 or 8 years old at the time.
And you think he shouldn't have made Rap Devil neither?
I think it was more of a cash grab for both of them because I think statistically, like before MGK released the movie or that thing, he was at about 7 million net worth, and afterwards, he skyrocketed to 11 or 12 million, and I think that was when Eminem released Side A.
I tell you what, man. What I'm getting at with this is the world has changed, the industry has changed, and I would want to say authenticity, but what conclusion I've come to with that,
But are they truly authentic, or are they just a product of the label that they represent?
I think they are who they want to be. That's what makes people different. That's what made Nipsey. That's what makes these people who they are. What they choose, the route that they chose to take, the way that they choose to do it is what they chose to do it, decided to do it is what made them so who they are, so great. And everybody ain't going to do it. There's levels to it, and they just reach the level that you just don't do it. Even if you get successful, even if you sell 1 million records, you might have made more money than them, but you didn't have the influence, the residual influence that those artists have or will have. So in the long run, they will make more money than you. It's just at that present time, you're what's hot.
One of my favorite T.I. songs is F-N-word because the lyrics are mind-blowingly amazing. T.I. literally goes, okay, you got all this money, you got this Lambo, you got this new purse, you got this new house. Aren't you from Michigan? what are you doing to help them with their water crisis? Aren't you from this place and there's a woman missing? Are you offering a fair amount of like reward and everything? Like, he actually brings to attention a lot of the fickleness of the modern day industry, because they're all about to glow up. They don't want to. They're not or at least in my opinion, don't crucify me for saying this, but there's so far and few in between where they're truly authentic and truly doing it for the.
You don't like it. Just say that. In your opinion, you don't like it. You ain't got to do all that long, drawn out.
I don't like it. The beats are amazing. Don't get me wrong. Like, some of the beats that they have.
But the content ain't
But the content is so shallow and so one-dimensional that I can't get behind it.
All right. That's what's up. Some people don't want to hear. They just want to, they supply and demand.
Like, they just show, like, the glamour behind it all, $1 million jets, $1 million cars and everything. And it gives you, like, a false sense of comparison of, I want that, I want that, I want that. But in all reality, like, cars depreciate like that once they reach out of the lot.
They're not taught, but they're not. This makes me think we're taught. That's all. But you know what? Even with that, I don't even want to say. I don't want to just put it out there like that because I don't want to be that judgmental. It's, man, to each their own. Just be responsible about how you spend your money, man. Just be wise about it. And apparently, I took some good out of what P said, because in that time there were some things he said that some people didn't like. You know what I'm saying? I take the good out of what Nipsey said, but some people may not see it like that. And
because they challenged the quote.
He challenged a lot of quotes. Nipsey challenged. That was him. That man was something different. He really was. We lost a lot when we lost him, because there's no telling what he could have been. He was a really big, a powerful figure and leader for the industry, just like P was. And as far as like the New Orleans, going back to that, the Black history in New Orleans, that this show is. By the end of this show, it made me really think about like the drive that where he came from is what he'd been preaching. The food, the music, the religion, the culture of New Orleans. If you ever get a chance, check out the movie Beast of the Southern Wild. The young lady that played in the latest Annie, she's in this movie. The little girl that played Annie, the African-American girl, the black girl that played Annie in the last Annie. Yeah, with Jamie Foxx. She's in this movie. And it's based off of, I want to say, New Orleans and other bits and pieces of New Orleans. Especially, I think her character is based off of a lady in New Orleans, a little girl in New Orleans that was really successful. But check that out, Beast of the Southern Wild. Forgot the actress's name that's in it, but she was really good in Annie. And that's the only other, I think she was in something else, but they're both really classical pieces. And that the Beast of the Southern Wild is, I think it's based off a play called You Sweet Juicy Thing. I think that's what it's based off of. So yeah, try to check that out. Check out Growing Up Black in New Orleans, VH1. And check out just read about New Orleans and the culture, man. And it's a beautiful thing. I want to go visit. My mom goes there a lot. I haven't even visited, so I plan to visit one of these days. Inshallah.
How about mom and son little vacation thing going on?
If she can stand me. I don't even think she can stand me that long, man. She might. I mean, we can get along, but then, I don't know. We're going to try it. How about we just try it?
Travel together, and that's your together time, but when you're down there, just separate.
How about we just try it? So, we got 4 minutes left. What we going to do? Shout out.
Who do you want to shout out?
Who do you want to shout out? Tell me what you learned. How about that? You learned anything new today?
I did. I learned about how New Orleans is...
You didn't know that about Master P?
I didn't, honestly.
Yeah, you didn't know that about Master P?
I didn't know a lot about him because...
You didn't know who Rachel Carson was?
Nope.
Okay.
I don't know a lot of things. I'm gonna let you know that I'm not the
We-
smartest cookie. In
Nobody.
The so I
said, I
always
just-
I always leave every Wednesday with a lot more than I came in with.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Oh, let me see here. I learned that you are into coral reef. I learned a lot about New Orleans. I actually was blown away, man, by
I
what we
picked that
chose
topic,
to
by the
do.
way.
I don't know what's up. What you want to go over next Wednesday?
I mean, I think I picked New Orleans. So what do you think you got to do or would like to do? Isn't it like the second to last Wednesday of February? Or do we got two more?
It's War Story Wednesday. War Story Wednesday. War Story Wednesday. And we're gonna finally talk about Sardine. We're gonna talk about the Assyrians. We're gonna talk about weapons of war. And one thing, you know what? The big point, I think I'm gonna always go back to the causes of war and certain principles of war. But we're definitely gonna go. We're gonna talk about more of Sardine, and him being the warrior king. We're gonna talk about weapons of war that they used at that time in the Assyrians. And yeah, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that type of war. And we're going to definitely reference back to the causes of war for War Story Wednesday. War Story Wednesday. War Story Wednesday on Mercutio Moriarty. Trade 14 Riverfront Hot. Well, man.
Way to go, man. Way to go.
It ain't like we ain't at work. It ain't like we ain't in the studio. Microphones in front of my face. With that being said, you know, we want to give a shout out to everybody that watched. We want to give a shout out to all the listeners at home in St. Louis, you know, worldwide, Missouri, Arturio, Razzle Dazzle, everybody that tuned in on TikTok and on Facebook, all 14, whatever, whoever, just as long as you listened and you got something out of it. I want to give a shout out to Stefan for showing up. I want to give a shout out to Justin just because he's ugly and somebody needs to love him. I want to say I love my mama, I love my daddy, I love my family. And just like all my content on TikTok, man, go and like all my pictures. Go listen to my album, share my album, you know, and be on the lookout for what's new.
Shameless plug right there.
You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to my family, too.
Never.
You don't know what the sinner do, what he did or didn't do.